In this video, you're going to learn how to make a card appear in the spectator's pocket. You're going to learn how to make your own DIY switching envelope that can transform one object into another. Learn how to materialize the spectator's card onto a photo. Tear up a card, make it vanish, and then make it reappear restored elsewhere with the missing corner matching, authenticating that it was the original card. And this is really cool. You're going to pour a sugar packet on your arm, and when you blow it away, it's going to reveal the spectator's chosen card. This is a compilation of all the tutorials from the channel this month. I post about 2 per week, so if you like magic content like this, be sure to subscribe. And if you become a channel member at the Insider tier, you also get videos ahead of time, as well as access to exclusive content. So check that out if you'd like. But for now, sit back, relax, and I hope you enjoy learning these cool magic tricks. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards over here. 12 cards in each pile. Now, if you were here yourself, you would have been able to actually deal these cards out into my hand, call out how many there were for everyone to hear, so that we would all know how many cards were in each pile. Also, if you were here, I would actually place these cards in your pocket. But instead, what I'm going to do is place them in the box to represent one pile going in your pocket, right? It's just the best I can do over camera. All right, now real quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, just to remind you where we started from. And here we go, let's begin. It's actually very quick. All I do is this. And now watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 cards in this pile now. Over here in the box, which would have been your pocket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 cards. 1 card has transferred out. So from the top, you can do this with any shuffle deck, borrow deck, and you're going to invite the audience member to deal 12 cards into your subordinate hand. I am left-handed, so I'm going to invite them to deal it into my right hand. And it's very important, especially with a group of people you're doing this to, that you really have them loud and clear count 1, 2, 3 into your hand all the way until they get to the 12th card, just so everyone has seen and heard that there's 12 cards in your hand. You're now going to have them do the same thing into your dominant hand, which in my case is my left hand. But as they're doing that, you can place these cards at your side, and you can actually get a break under your pinky. Under that top card with your pinky, you can do that by pushing over if you would like, or you can pull with your thumb. You can see if I just pull with my thumb, get a break under that top card. Very casual, you're keeping that out of sight, and you just get it as they're dealing cards into this hand. Once they've dealt cards into this dominant hand, you're going to want to flip them over and get into a biddle grip. Now that can actually be a little knacky, so as you see here, I'm just holding them in dealer's grip, I'm flipping them over, and then I'm kind of holding them up in this straddle grip, and I'm moving my fingers up so that I'm in that biddle grip. To make it easier, if you want, you could have them deal these cards face up into your hand, and then you could go from a flat hand into a biddle grip more naturally. Of course, in that case, when they're dealing into a flat hand, it can be easier for these to drop. So you just want to be aware of that either way, but you can get into that biddle grip more like that. You can push up from there. That's the one maybe slightly awkward aspect of it, but it's going to set you up to do the secret move. You can adapt that as you'd like. Of course, if you want, you can have them deal these into your hand and these onto the table, or if that seems asynchronous, have them deal one onto the table and then place it in your hand for later, have them deal the others on the table, and you pick up from there, and then you're in that biddle grip. Either way, you need to be in this position where you have biddle grip here, that's this overhand grip, and you have this with the break. As long as you get into that comfortably, you're good. So now you're going to gesture toward their pocket. As you gesture towards your pocket, you're doing the the main dirty move. There's really only 2 moves, honestly, in this entire thing, 2 actual sleight of hand moves. And so the first one is kind of the bold one that you need to do casually, and it needs to be under this larger motion that's motivated by something you're talking about, and that's going to be their pockets. So you're going to ask, could you empty your pockets for me? Do you have an empty pocket we could use? And as you come over, the idea is that you're going to catch the card with your thumb. See, I've just picked it up there. So I come over with Biddle Grip, my thumb is here ready to contact this card, and as it contacts that card, it'll slide forward into Biddle Grip. So I've now just stolen 1 card into my left-hand packet. So again, we have this break, my thumb's ready to catch the card as I come forward, say, could you empty your pockets for me? And you're catching that card. So again, that's probably the boldest moment. You're really going to want to practice that in the mirror, and you're going to want to practice what you're saying and pointing to so that it all comes together. So you're going to point to one of your participants, you're going to say, actually, could you empty one of your pockets for me? And they're going to empty their pocket, or ask them if one of their pockets is empty, and there you go. You can dress it up bigger, you know, ask, I'm gonna need one of you guys to, you know, have an empty pocket. Is anybody gonna be able to do that? Do you have an empty pocket I could use? So you see there, sometimes I feel comfortable actually doing it on the retreat instead of on the forward. So I've gestured to someone, that creates a little bit of the distraction, and then as I come back, I put together. And that's actually more of a moment that the cards are held together, and yet it might feel a little more comfortable just because it's after you've already directed attention elsewhere. So you direct attention, come down and across. You don't necessarily have to do the sweep forward motion. So you have both those options there. Either way, you have stolen the card. Very sneaky. So now there will be 13 here and 11 here. So all in all, you're done, but now the rest is very, very important for the effect to really be felt. Wanted to give a huge shout out to my channel supporters. Thank you so much to my channel members. You guys are awesome. On this channel, I go back to the classics, those classic staples of magic. They're out there in the public domain, in the classic works, these really cool magic secrets just waiting to be discovered and learned. And so what I do on this channel is I try to provide some of those to you in a more accessible way through video format, along with some of my own tips and advice. So you can always count on about 2 free tutorials per week from this channel. If you want to support me being able to continue to do that, you can support this channel as a member at the supporter tier or the insider tier. Supporters get exclusive badges, and insiders get access to videos early. Also this month, I have a bonus magic theory video for all members of the channel. And since we're going through more Tarbell tricks, insider members, you have a bonus video on the membership now where I teach you how to make a card appear inside an orange, also from that original 1926 Tarbell course. So thank you for your support, and check that out if you'd like, but for now, let's get back to the video. So you're gonna place the packet that has 13 in their pocket, or ask them to do so. And then you're acting like you're about to do the magic, but you're gonna go ahead and do kind of like a reconvincer that you still have 12 in this hand. And I think that one extra move really brings this all home. And so you're going to take these cards, and you're gonna do basically an Elmsley count or a false count. And you're gonna do that by pulling over into your subordinate hand, at least this is how I like to do it, and you have your dominant hand kind of clipping the bottom corner of these cards. So again, you're going like this, and then as you go to deal one more, you actually dump this card back onto the bottom of the deck, and you clip it with those fingers. So what it's going to look like is 1, 2, and you're going to deal all the way down, but what you're secretly doing is dumping 1 back on the bottom. So you start from dealer's grip. I kind of like to slide over like this. It makes it easier because then I can grab here. So I slide over, I dump, I clip with my dominant hand, and I go quickly into saying 2, quickly but smoothly, right? And then the rest is normal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So by doing that one false count, you are able to show pretty convincingly that you still have 12 cards. Now Tarbell would do multiple dumps of cards in order to make 3 go across. And so just to simplify that and make it easier, it can be kind of hard to false count that many times without it really looking a little shady. And so I'm gonna do that single false count. And now what you can do is place this in someone else's hands or just keep it in your own. If you place it in someone else's hands, you can have this nice moment where this is in their pocket, this is in their hands, or you have them put it in their pocket as well. And you just really ham this up, right? The simplicity of it, I think, is actually what's really powerful. There's not multiple phases here. It's just this really raw, simple moment that you have dramatized by having them put it in their pockets, and it's these two participants and they've dealt the cards out themselves. So really milk this, I think, because it will make it really, really effective. And so you can kind of like pretend to pluck and place it in. And the kind of mundane simplicity of it combined with like the gravitas you're adding to it, I think will make a nice eerie feeling. This is a great street magic effect because it's just so simple. And then you have them take it back out, have them deal it out again and count aloud once again. They're gonna go 1, 2, 3, all the way to 11. That moment will feel so powerful. Then come over here, that moment will feel so powerful. Another presentational credit I gotta give is Craig Petty. I think he did this and he might've done like a live breakdown of kind of performance theory and stuff like that. So I think I get some of that from him as well. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this. Welcome to the video. If you like magic content like this, I post 2 videos a week, so be sure to subscribe to learn more magic. I hope you enjoy learning this trick. Let's get into it. To make your very own switch envelope, you're going to need 2 envelopes. You can get a pack of several online or from a craft store. They might also come with cards or something that you can put inside. One of these you're going to lay to the side for now, and the other one you're going to use. Grab a pair of scissors and you're going to basically cut out the entire back portion of this, meaning this flap and all of this back portion. Something I like to do is cut down the middle here. That allows me to cut to the side. Then once you've cut a lot of it away, you can just cut the extra parts out. Another thing that makes it easier is to cut diagonally to the corner, which allows these to kind of become separate flaps that you can then cut out separately. Now, before you are done, you're going to make sure it fits inside. It's probably going to often be the case that you're going to have to shave it down a little bit. So this is almost fitting. I'm going to shave it down a little more. All right, hopefully this does it now. Okay, great. Now it is fitting inside. You see that? So step 1 is to cut all that down and you have this nice little extra flap that you can insert into a normal envelope. And now you have 2 options of how you are going to handle this. In one option, you're going to place an object in the envelope, seal it up, open it with a letter opener or knife, and then you're going to show the object to have changed. That is kind of your one-time use ability with this envelope. After you've done that exact action, you have basically rendered it into a reusable switch envelope. So before we do that, let's go ahead and show you how to use it as a rip open switch envelope. So let's say we're doing a torn and restored card. I'm going to place the complete card in this secret compartment that's been created here. So it's going to go behind the insert. So I've placed that card in the insert. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lick this gummy part of the envelope that you would usually lick to seal it and send it off somewhere. It's important before you adhere this, you're going to actually check to make sure that everything lines up perfectly. So in my case, yeah, I'm glad I checked real quick. I actually need to remove just a little bit more of this. Okay, now I've removed a little more of that. Place in my switch object. You can actually slide this up and down to make sure everything fits together. You're gonna let those pieces attach. Now, this might be enough, but you might actually want to come in with glue or double stick tape if it's not adhering well or if the edges keep coming up. So that's actually something I'm going to do in my case, just because I've kind of been experimenting with these and I've noticed that it needs it. And no one will ever see this portion of it, so don't worry. And no one's ever gonna see this. This is just for the construction of the gimmick. And these edges are particularly important. You'll see why in a moment. So now you're gonna line everything up as best as you can. And now you have your gimmicked envelope ready to go. So when you open this, especially if you've taped it, you will have a very free and open envelope that you can show. So now in performance, you can show the empty envelope, take your torn pieces, place them inside, and you're going to lick this gummy part in order to seal the envelope. If you're worried about the gummy part of the envelope not being enough to keep it down, what you can do is carry like little envelope seals on you, like little stickers that go over probably each of these 3 portions is maybe something I would recommend, just so it all stays down. And you're gonna open it with a knife or a letter opener, whatever it may be. And this just adds to the drama of it, but of course this is using sharp objects, so this is for adults to do, or do it with adult supervision or help. And you're just gonna rip up through the envelope. Now you are ripping through 2 pieces, so be sure to rip away from yourself and also be mindful of where your audience is. You know, you want everyone to be safe. But now what you've done is you have given yourself access to the previously hidden compartment. And that's going to be towards this side. And come in with your hand, open everything away from you so that you have access to that portion, and you'll be able to pull it out, show it, and also show this side empty. Now there's some particular things you want to do in terms of handle. One personally I would recommend is holding the reveal side toward you, so that with your fingers you can come in and you have this dirty stuff here. You're gonna push the flap and everything else away from you, and you're gonna hold with the edges of your fingers the envelope so that you can push it out something like this. This allows the audience to look in toward the clean side, and all of this is kind of hidden underneath here. The pressure of squeezing is also going to keep anything from falling out. So they see this backside when you go to reveal. You can do this convincer, and you can give them a brief look at the inside. And what's going to help is the fact that, and what's going to help with the illusion is the fact that this type of envelope is made up with flaps. So the fact that you cut up through the top of this, the fact that there's layers here, I think is a little more okay and less discrepant. But regardless, I think this is the dirtiest possible spot they could see, so you just want to be aware of that. Another thing that I think helps is actually the little bit of fraying that occurs when you cut the edge open. One more thing to note that I was talking about earlier with my recommendations is the fact that if you bow this type of envelope out and you aren't holding those edges, you will let that peek out. Unless the adhesive on that gummy part of the envelope is just perfect, you'll get this look. And I just don't like that. So the easy fix is, even if the adhesive is not great, just make sure you're holding it down, right? So when you take it in your hands, just use your fingers to make sure that this flap is forward and that the edges are in your fingers. But if you want to go the extra mile, like I said, you can use envelope sealers as part of your presentation. So that is the opening in front of them version. By doing that once though, what you've now created is the basis for a reusable version. So if you're gonna have a reusable version, here's how you can touch it up. Instead of just having to be mindful of this, you have the benefit of preparation, and so you can come in and you can fix it up. So I've placed some tape here, for example, place that edge down. Same thing on this side, place that edge down. So now, even if you don't have your fingers on those corners, you should be able to lift it up pretty well. You might have to keep going in and kind of touching up with tape, but that's the basics of what it looks like. And now what you have is an envelope that you can flap back and forth between. With the reusable envelope, the idea is the same, but now you can just take it out like so. So you're gonna have this prepped here, you can push that to the side, and you have your pieces. And now when you're displaying, once again, I would personally recommend pushing that hidden part toward the audience so that they look in and see this backside. Place your pieces in, give it a snap, give it a blow, whatever you want to do. You will have to flip over naturally, and then you once again can push it away from yourself and pull out the full card. Because of that flip over maybe being quicker, you might want to purposefully delay and try to obfuscate the fact that you're flipping over. So again, if you're starting from this standpoint, you show everything empty, place inside, you might blow, and then you might actually turn it over while offering for them to blow on it or snap on it. Just give some motivation for the turnover. And then as you come in, push that flap away from you so that you can get access to the transformed card. Show that it is transformed, show that this is empty, place it away, and maybe you have a duplicate examinable envelope if you'd like. So there are other envelope styles you can experiment with, and of course there's lots of different tricks you can do, but this should get you started. And now you have your own switching envelope gimmick that you can make at home. In this envelope, I have a red-backed playing card with a blank face. We're going to come back to that later. This blue deck of cards, every card is different, is where you're going to make a selection. Now, if you were here yourself, what I'd have you do is cut the cards, and then I would place the envelope on top of where you cut to. There's a very specific reason for that, but since you're not here, I'm just gonna kind of simulate a random spot that you would cut to in the deck. Now, there's no way I could have controlled that. I'm gonna place the envelope down, rest the cards back on top, just representing where you might have cut to. And I want you to imagine those cards just pressing down almost like a panini press down onto the envelope. We're gonna see if that does anything interesting in a moment, but for now, let's take a look. You cut to this card, the Queen of Hearts. A card earlier would have been the Ace of Diamonds, a card later, the Eight of Spades. Truly free choice anywhere in the deck. And you're gonna find something very strange now. Inside the envelope that from the beginning has been in the full view, there's still that one single card, but now it's actually created a photocopy of your card. Welcome to the video. If you like magic content like this, I post 2 videos a week, so be sure to subscribe to learn more magic. I hope you enjoy learning this trick. Let's get into it. To prepare, you're going to need a blank card and a copy of the card you want to force with the same back. Now, conversely, you could take a photo of a blank table, maybe like a Polaroid photo, and then a photo of that same blank table with the card, and so then it's more literally you're creating a photo, just in case you don't have a blank card. The other tool you're going to need is the Tarbell switching envelope, or what he referred to as the double envelope. Now, there's a couple ways to make this mechanism work. In our case, it's a simple back and forth slip that is inside this envelope. Now, if you want more specifics on how to make this, there's a separate video that I have on the channel that I'll link for you. But with the flap down, I like to place the blank card here, and then you can pull that up and have the reveal here. So on the lower flap, we have the card, and on the upper flap, we have the blank card. So what's great is you can carry this around with you. Now, the deck just needs to be probably a separate back. If you're doing the blank card version like I've shown you, I think that just makes it a little bit easier to emphasize the photocopying, and it looks less like there's a duplication happening. I think it can just get confusing with different colored backs. Another great thing is you can be doing tons of tricks before and after this because it doesn't take a lot of get ready to get into. All that get ready is as you're getting ready to show them this next trick, you can be showing them that all the cards are different. And once you locate the Queen of Hearts, just kind of keep that in your view, maybe spread past a little bit. You can come back, get a break, cut to that Queen of Hearts, and now you're ready, it's on top. Take the envelope and open to the blank card, and here's why I like it on this side. You can point this out toward your audience, show them the blank card, and the flap will be pressing forward, and that kind of inner lip will hide from them under the cover of this side of the envelope. So you can show it like this, and then you can do a display that it's empty, and you can just kind of do a brief display. All you want them to see is just this general idea to go back inside with that, and then you can turn it over if you'd like. That might help you remember how to open it later. As you instruct what you're going to have them do, as you instruct what you're about to have them do, you're going to get a break under the top card. An easy way to do that is just to pull with your thumb. You can get a pinky break under it. You're going to go over with the envelope, gesturing how you're going to have them cut to the deck and that you're going to place the envelope there in a moment. And as you go on top, you're simply going to grab with your thumb the card, and you're going to hide it underneath. So now you're in this position and you just don't want to flash the card. Of course, another way you can do that is by placing the envelope on top and sliding your fingers in this way. Either way, you now have them cut to anywhere in the deck, and I simulated that just by sliding some cards over. Great thing is they really can cut anywhere, and I think that's an advantage of this force. And then you do as you said you would do, and you place this down and have them place the rest of these cards on top. Now, if you try to use that force in other tricks, no matter what you do, you're going to have to contextualize it well, and that's why I think this force is well suited to this trick from Tarbell, as he explained that you're painting this picture of a photo being created, right? So take a moment, invite them to imagine that. Don't go too quick. But then, of course, when you're ready, you can lift these cards, come over here, and now what you've done is forced the card. That's pretty cool, I think. Show them that they could have ended up at other cards in the deck, and now it's just the reveal moment. And so you're going to come over and you're going to open the envelope with your fingers so that it opens to the right part. And now if you flipped it over ahead of time, you'll have the card facing you. This does two things. I think it creates for a great reveal because now they're looking at this, they're waiting for the card to be turned over. But we've also once again set up the envelope for its best angles once again. So we've pushed the flap against this edge. It'll hide under the front, and their eyes will see a clean back. You can take it out, and once again you can show it's empty. Close that up, put it away, and focus completely on this reveal. If you want, you can keep a clean duplicate of this envelope in your pocket. Just pull it out later in order to place this card back. And that way, if people want to examine the envelope, that's somewhere you can go with it. But ideally, you just throw it away. It's not a focus anymore. The audience member selects and tears a card to pieces. Now I'm just going to keep one of those pieces to the side, and they could have torn this themselves. I'm going to take the rest of the pieces and place it inside an empty envelope. And watch, with just a little bit of a magic snap, somehow all those pieces end up actually vanishing completely from the envelope. Only question is, where is the card now? It's actually reconstructed itself and appeared under the mat, and the piece matches. This trick uses a force, so the first thing you're going to need is 2 cards of the same kind. You can just do that by getting one from an extra deck of cards. You're then going to tear a piece from one of those 2 cards. Plant this card wherever you want it to appear ahead of time. This can be inside your wallet, in your back pocket, or you can go the extra mile and try to plant it on someone or in a unique location. This will be held in your pocket, and this will be on top of the deck. Now you could borrow the deck as long as it's the same type of deck, and regardless of which deck it's from, you can be doing other tricks. The only thing you need to do to get into this trick is just maybe have them shuffle it, and then you can show that the cards are shuffled. When you see your force card, just casually retain a break below that card. That's where you hold your pinky in the gap between that card and the rest of the cards. Cut it down, and now you have that card back on top. If you're familiar with card forcing, use whichever one you want, but here's a cool one that actually applies to the way the trick works. You're going to use this special envelope. This is a double envelope or switching envelope from the original Tarbell course back in the 1920s. I teach exactly how to construct this envelope on the channel, so be sure to check out that video if you need to know how to construct that. But in short, it has a secret compartment that goes back and forth. You're going to reference that you're going to take the card that they choose and place it in this envelope, so we're going to actually use this envelope to find the card. And as you reference and explain that, just hold your pinky below one card. You can do that by pulling your thumb across or pushing across just as it's at your side so no one's looking at the deck. As you're explaining the procedure that's about to happen, you can come over and grip that card and just make sure it doesn't peek out the sides, and now you have it here. What's great now is you can have the audience cut to any location in the deck, and wherever they cut, you can say, okay, I'm just gonna place the envelope there to mark it and show that they could have cut to any other card. One more, one less, it would have been a different card, and then you can show their card. So that's one way to actually use the props involved in the trick to force it. Now you can move to the next part, which is allowing them to tear the card to pieces. But if you're worried that you're not going to get pieces that look close enough to this, then you can just do it yourself. So you tear the card, and you can do it kind of something like this, where you get 4 or more pieces. After you've torn it, you're going to invite them to mix it up in their hands a little bit. And when they mix it up in their hands, you can go to your pocket and retrieve the extra piece. Ask them to hold their hand out, and you're just going to add and sort of pretend to take this from the pile. So you can add it to the pile and then bring it to your hand and then take it out, or you can do a pretty quick dump and grab just by coming over. This is finger palm. You're kind of curling it in your 2 fingers here. You have it in finger palm, and you just go to pick up the pieces, and then you kind of drop the rest and pick up the fake piece for later. And you don't have to super explain what this is being used for. You can just say for later. I think people will kind of understand that you're using it as a mark of authenticity, right? That's the whole point of this, to prove that this is the card later. Another way magicians mark authenticity is through signing, but this is an actual duplicate card trick. So this is a clever way to get around that. They can't sign this card. It's a duplicate card trick, but this kind of makes it seem like it isn't one. You're gonna take the pieces and place them on either side of the envelope. I have the flap kind of pointed up this time around. And again, if you want more intricacies on how to handle the envelope, be sure to check out the switch envelope video. But you place them in, you're going to close the envelope up, snap, do whatever you need to do, and then you just need to make sure you're opening on the empty side. So we have the open side here, and then we're going to open on the empty side. This envelope being what it is, it might actually be more helpful to maybe have this transform into another selected card. That does complicate the effect. You need more duplicates or whatever. You could also have it transform into something random, like maybe little paper confetti, paper money, something like that. For a gag, you could even have a business card in here that says I owe you. I think transforming it into something else instead of a true vanish will help to hide some of the weaknesses of this prop. Now, I like this prop, I think it's cool, but I think it's better as a transformer and not a complete vanisher. If you go for a complete vanish, I would recommend showing it's empty and then quickly moving on to where it has reappeared. But regardless, you now have this piece ready to go so that when you make the card appear elsewhere, you can now prove it to be authentic. I've given you this in a very bare bones way intentionally. This is the key principle that I would encourage you to think about. This is very, very powerful. So even if you use a different vanishing method, think about this. This is huge, right? In fact, the way Tarbell taught this in the original Tarbell course was with a different vanisher. He had a handkerchief that sort of had fake corners in it that made it seem like it was disappearing. I am just using a different one of his props in this tutorial. So I'd really encourage you to think about this. If you want a cool place to make this appear, I taught how to make a card appear in an orange, also from the original Tarbell course, in my insider exclusive video this month. So my insider tier members, that is a bonus video there for you. So consider checking that out if you're interested. Let me know what you think of this authenticator idea in the comments below. Welcome to the Ash on Arm card trick. Now, if you are going to use this with actual fire, actual ash, if a kid is going to be involved in doing this, they should be doing it with adult supervision, permission, and potentially help. But the great thing about this is that you don't have to use fire, you don't have to use ash. So the first thing to decide is what item you're going to use. You can use a lighter and like a piece of paper that you would then burn into an ashtray and then use that ash as the substance that you're going to place on your arm. If you don't want to use ash, you can use salt, pepper, sugar, whatever it may be. So the way I've seen it, and that I learned it many years ago, is to use like a sugar packet if you're out at a cafe. I just think that's like the most reasonable thing you could find near you. Salt and pepper packets are a thing too. Salt and pepper shakers at restaurants, those will be naturally available. But in terms of actually being able to perform this in real life, I think those are the opportunities to look for. Is you just need like a grainy substance of some sort. So that's one thing, is that you could carry around a sugar packet if you want. You could also just try to hope to see them in the wild. The other piece of preparation is really simple and makes this a great street magic trick or organic kind of spur of the moment trick, because all you need to do is carry around some chapstick, and that's something I do anyway. Now in the original Tarbell course, he talked about using soap. You can certainly do that. You basically just need a substance that you're going to be able to mark your arm with and it come on clear and not be seen. And so I like to do the 7 of diamonds as my reveal on the arm, because it's a very easy, straight line reveal to make. So you just do the 7 in straight lines on your arm, and you do the diamonds in straight lines on your arm. And so if you know that you're going to be performing that within the next several minutes, you can secretly do that under a table. You can, do the classic like bathroom break, set it up. The one thing with chapstick is that there is still a little bit of a sheen or shine to it. So you might want to kind of diminish that by holding your arms toward yourself, not flashing them outward too much. So that is something that I've both gotten away with, and then I had an astute audience member once that kind of saw something a little bit ahead of time before the trick moment happened, and so that's kind of something to be aware of. But there you go, you have your get ready to go, and now all you need to do in performance is force the card. Now real briefly, let's cover the cross-cut force. I go to that force a lot on this channel because it's more psychological and it's not so sleight of hand heavy. So to do that, you're gonna have your force card, the 7 of diamonds, on the top of the deck. A way you can do that, if they've been shuffling the deck, whatever, is you can just show the cards, say, look, they're all shuffled, maintain a pinky break under the 7 of diamonds, and then you're gonna cut down to it so that it's on top. Then to do the cross-cut force itself, invite the audience to cut the deck into 2 piles, and then you're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna mark where you cut. And you're gonna take one pile and place it over on the other one. You're basically taking the bottom half of the deck, placing it over on top of the top half of the deck where the 7 of diamonds is, and you're gonna do that at an angle. And this is a lie. You're saying, I'm gonna mark where you cut. That's not technically what is happening, but that's part of the illusion, right? Is you're kind of painting that picture in their head that that's what you're doing. So you say, I'm gonna mark where you cut, place that half over the other, and then you just need a few moments of time, what we call time misdirection, so they forget which half is which. And so for the theme of this trick, maybe something you say is, now in a moment, it's really important that you remember your card. I really want you to burn the image of that card in your mind. So if you're doing the ash on arm trick with true ashes, that lines up perfectly, right? But I still think that idea works even if you're not doing that. If you're doing sugar, you can still talk about the image of the card, like really get an image of that card in your mind, because you're gonna make a sort of an image of it appear later. So you take a moment to say that, you come back to the packets. Now they don't remember which packet is which, and so you're gonna lift one half up and say, I'm gonna show you the card you cut to. I like using those words, it's their action that did this. And you hold the card up, the 7 of diamonds, they'll memorize it, boom, you force the card, they can shuffle the cards, do whatever they want now. And if you know different card forces, you of course can use that one. Now when it comes time to revealing their card in this fascinating way, you're gonna ask them to write their card down and fold it up in a piece of paper if you're doing the ash method. Then all you have to do is burn that paper over the ashtray, get some ashes out of it. Be careful, be safe, obviously, but once you have those dark bits and pieces of paper, you're gonna be able to take that, rub it on your arm, and that will reveal the card. If it's sugar, like a sugar packet or a salt packet, it's a little different. You're gonna wanna hold your arm parallel to the floor, and you're going to want to cover all the places, the invisible places that you know the card reveal will be. So one thing you might do, even as I was recreating this, looking at it, you might run into, partial coverage. I think that's fine as long as the identity gets across, but you just want to do that as best you can. So you cover as much of that reveal as you can. And I would encourage experimenting with the type of substance you use. My sense is that you might be able to rub on your arm more. And or if you're using the fire ash, you might be able to rub on your arm more. In the case of chapstick, when I've combined that with salt or sugar, rubbing it is going to rub it all the way off. So what you're doing more so is you're putting everything on, getting as much coverage as you can, and then you're letting it kind of shake off, or you're blowing it off. So obviously experiment with the substance you use, but that's the basic idea, is that you're covering that glue, it's a glue basically, and then you're allowing everything to come off that isn't glued to that one spot. So that's obviously the secret, but in terms of presentation, this is a very mystical thing, right? This is a very odd thing, and so you can present this, like I said earlier, with the idea of an image of their card coming into fruition, coming into view. What's cool about this too is you don't just have to do a card, you could do just a number, anything that's simple that you are able to prep on your arm. But there you go, that is the ash and arm trick. I hope you enjoy. If you enjoyed that video, help me out by liking and subscribing. Check out the other video that YouTube is gonna recommend to you on the end screen here. But until next time, keep enjoying your magic, stay a hobbyist at heart, and I'll see you guys in the next video.